Do you want to know a little secret? Any car you drive with yellow seatbelts is gonna be a good time. And today, on this slightly cloudy day in Toronto, I am in the 2021 Chevrolet Corvette, also known as the C8 because it is the 8th generation of Corvette. For the past, I don't know, 200 years, all Corvettes have been front engine. Now, this is the first generation where the engine is over there. It's behind me. Now the question is, has that made this the best Corvette ever? Well, let's start it up, go for a drive, and find out. It's a good day. Let's start with the basic schematics. Every C8 that you buy right now has a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 in the back. It makes 490 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque, or it will make 5 more horsepower and 5 more pound-feet of torque if you get the Z51 package, as this car is equipped. Also, every single C8 comes with an excellent 8-speed automatic. There's no manual. You can buy it as a coupe, or as obviously we have, a convertible. The convertible is going to run you $9,000 more than the coupe, but honestly, it might be worth it. It weighs a little bit more, but not a lot, 102 pounds more. Now, the amazing thing is that this car, the C8, if you buy it as a coupe, starts at like $68,000. It's incredible how much car you get for your money. This one, as you see it, is $111,000 and change because it's got a bunch of options, but the important ones are that this car has the $6,995 Z51 package and the $2,180 magnetic ride control. And that gives you basically magnetorheological dampers, which are full of a special fluid that I can't quite explain, but it turns rock hard when you want it and it's soft when you want it, and it means that you can just press a button and decide if you want your Corvette to be comfortable or aggressive for a track day. But enough of the nuts and bolts. What does this thing drive like? Well, for starters, it doesn't drive like any Corvette I've ever driven. I've driven a lot of Corvettes. I own a Corvette. The only thing that feels like a Corvette to me is the sound. That still sounds like a Corvette. It really doesn't drive like any Corvette I've ever driven. I've driven a lot of Corvettes. I own a Corvette. And let's start with how it feels inside it. This is a different cabin than Corvettes have ever had. Corvettes have always kind of been amazing for how big they feel inside. They usually have that glassed-in space and you put a lot of things, and they generally feel pretty roomy inside. Not so here. I am down low, and while I do have plenty of leg room, headroom is kind of questionable, really, and there's not a lot of side to side for my knees. I feel like I'm kind of encased with a really high console, like my elbow's right at it, the door panel's right here, and the passenger has it even worse. They have this like wall thing separating them. Also, for the first time, I don't have a mile-long hood with a big bulge in front of me. I have like little view over the fenders, which is kind of reminiscent of a C3 Corvette. But the view and everything in here, to me, like, it feels more McLaren. It feels more Lamborghini. That is until you step on it. And that is, of course, a Chevrolet small block V8. Everything else really feels like an exotic. It doesn't have that last nth degree of chassis rigidity that I find in a McLaren or a Lamborghini, but it's right up there. It's really good. Not to say that there's no storage room in this. It has 2 trunks. It has a trunk at the front, which is basically exactly sized to fit a carry-on bag, and it has a trunk at the back, which apparently can fit 2 golf clubs. I've never gone golfing, so I guess. The point is that you have lots of room for your things in a C8, but you might find yourself not so roomy on a long drive as a person in a C8. Now let's talk about this transmission. It is a Tremec TR9080. I memorized that. For the first time ever in a Corvette, it's a dual clutch automatic. And it is so good. It's incredibly good. The Porsche PDK is well established as literally the best transmission in the world. They are really good. This is right up there. It doesn't have that final degree of precision that a PDK has, that final degree of refinement. I noticed that as I creep up to a stop sign, there's like a little bit of a shudder in it, and the downshifts aren't as smooth as what I would get in a PDK. But oh my goodness, this is a truly world-class automatic transmission. And when you give it full throttle, the snaps on upshifts, the pops are so good. It just makes you want to do it all the time. Do I wish it was a manual? In this rare case, kind of yeah. It's got this light, playful demeanor, this car. It loves to be driven, it's fun. Every car today is fast, but not all fast cars are fun, but this one really is. And that engine, all the power is at the top, and you want to wind it out. And I wish this car had a manual. And Corvette actually had a really high take rate for manuals, and I'm kind of surprised they killed it. I feel like now I need to talk about the handling. And the handling is also not like any Corvette I've driven. The previous, I would say, 2 generations of Corvette, C6 and C7, they're pretty spicy. You know, in terms of the go-fast ones, the Z06 and the ZR1, when you really hustle those things, they are kind of spooky. They have a lot of wheel spin, they're kind of all over the place, and they were borderline sketchy to drive fast. But that is not the case with the C8. This thing feels light and playful, and it communicates, it tells you what it wants to do. And this car is equipped with magnetic ride control, which means I get a bunch of modes. I have tour mode, which softens everything up. I have sport mode, which is kind of a middle, and then I have track, which is the full attack mode. I actually find I'm driving around in sport mode mostly. Now, while we're on the subject of drive mode button tomfoolery, the way you engage launch control with this car is to first set it into track mode with the little drive indication wheel. Then you press the traction control off button twice, which brings up a screen. Performance traction, which allows you to select. There's a few different ones. I usually go with sport. And then once you're in track mode with performance traction set up, all you do then is push the brake all the way down, push the gas all the way down, and let go. Now this car will do a claimed 2.9 second to 96 kilometers per hour, GM quotes, which is 59.6 miles per hour. I think they were just so close to that 2.90 to 60, they couldn't let it slip away. And anyways, the point is that 0 to 60, this thing is way faster than any car with 500 horsepower should be. And it's doing that by just really clever traction management and by being pretty light for sports car standards in 2021. Like I said, about 3,350 pounds for the coupe and 102 more for the convertible as you see it. It's pretty light for a car with 500 horsepower essentially. And wait till they make a Z06, it's gonna blow your minds. So let's answer the question, is the C8 the best Corvette ever? It is the best Corvette ever made for the modern Corvette owner. But if you're a traditional Corvette buyer and a traditional Corvette enthusiast, this isn't for you. The Corvette has turned a dime. They basically realized that the people that buy C7s were on their last Corvette. These people are not going to buy very many Corvettes, and there's no sense in making a new generation for them, because remember, Corvette generations last a really long time. But perhaps even more important than being an objectively good car, which the C8 is that kids like it. It does what Corvettes have always done. Every 10-year-old kid that has walked in front of this thing at the traffic lights has gone, huh? And because that's what I did when I was 10, and now I own a Corvette. And it still has that effect. And if we're able to have a car that still captivates people's hearts in that way, then the Corvette is doing its job. For Driving.ca, I'm Clayton Seams, and for more Corvette information and reviews, don't forget to follow us online on Instagram and Twitter.